Before every great idea, there was silence. Before every light, there was shadow. Welcome to PHI Chronicles, where philosophy becomes reflection, and reflection becomes life. So here we are, you and I, after an hour and a half of wandering through the ruins of faith, through the fire of reason, through the silence of God. We have watched Nietzsche rise and fall, and we have seen his shadow stretch across the centuries. But now, I want to ask you something. Not as a philosopher to a crowd, but as one voice to another. What do you believe in when everything else falls away? Take a moment. Imagine the world without the stories you were taught. No heaven above, no reward waiting at the end. Only this: the breath in your lungs, the heartbeat inside your chest, the fragile miracle of being here at all. What would you live for? That question, my friend, is where philosophy becomes real. Nietzsche was not trying to turn you against faith. He was trying to wake you up, to force you to see that belief, if it is to mean anything, must be chosen, not inherited. He wanted you to look at every value, every rule, every ideal, and ask, do I believe this, or do I merely repeat it? That is the beginning of real freedom. When you stop echoing the world and start listening to yourself. The danger of our time is not that people believe too little, but that they believe without reflection. We follow trends instead of truth. We imitate opinions instead of forming them. We chase the appearance of meaning instead of doing the hard work of creating it. Nietzsche called that herd morality the sleep of the spirit. And he wanted to wake us, to turn each of us into a creator of thought, a sculptor of values. You see, philosophy is not a collection of answers. It is a discipline of questions. It does not give you peace, it gives you courage. Courage to stand alone if you must, to doubt, to wrestle, to face the chaos within you and still shape it into form. Every thinker, every artist, every dreamer who dares to create is continuing Nietzsche's project, the project of becoming who you are. So I ask again, what do you love enough to live for eternally? Not what would you die for, that's easy, but what would you live for again and again through every pain, every joy, every disappointment, if time itself turned in a circle? That is your truth. That is your faith, and no book, no teacher, no prophet can give it to you. You must create it. Maybe your meaning is small, a child's laughter, a melody, a sunrise. Maybe it is enormous, a vision for humanity, a dream for the future. Whatever it is, if you can love it completely, you have already passed the test of the eternal return. Because to love something fully, to say yes to it without condition, is to affirm life itself. That, Nietzsche believed, is holiness. Philosophy does not save you. It transforms you. It strips away your illusions until only the essential remains: your will, your courage, your creative fire. The rest, the systems, the dogmas, the ideologies, are only scaffolding. They are useful until you can stand without them. And when you can, you are free. So, if this journey has done anything, let it awaken in you the philosopher within, not the scholar, but the seeker. Let it remind you that the purpose of life is not to escape the abyss, but to learn to dance above it. As Nietzsche said, "I would believe only in a God who could dance." Perhaps that God is not gone. Perhaps he has been waiting, within you, within all of us, for the courage to move again. This, then, is the reflection of our classroom, a quiet place not made of walls or desks, but of minds willing to think. You have walked through the shadow. Now carry the light with you, because the story of philosophy is not about Nietzsche or Socrates or me. It is about you, and what you will create next. If this journey through light and shadow is speaking to your mind and heart, my friends, pause for a moment and help the light travel farther. Subscribe to PHI Chronicles and share this reflection with others who seek wisdom. Because truth, when shared, does not fade in the darkness. It multiplies until the whole world glows. We have walked together through light and darkness, through faith and doubt, through the death of God and the rebirth of meaning. Now we stand at the summit of Nietzsche's mountain, where silence is not emptiness, but understanding. What remains when all illusions fall? What endures after every truth is questioned, every God dethroned, every certainty undone? What remains is life itself. Nietzsche's final word was never despair, it was affirmation. He taught us that the greatest act of rebellion is not to curse the world, but to love it. To look at existence with all its suffering, chaos and beauty, and still say, yes. That is what he meant by amor fati, the love of fate. To love not only your joys, but your pain. Not only your triumphs, but your wounds. Because everything that happens, happens for the artist in you to shape. He wanted to replace the morality of obedience with the morality of creation, to turn guilt into gratitude, fear into freedom. He said, to live is to suffer, to survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. In his world, meaning is not found, it is forged. Each of us is a blacksmith of spirit, hammering chaos into form. That is the legacy of Nietzsche, not the death of God, but the birth of the Creator within man. He believed that humanity's next evolution would not be biological, but spiritual. We would not grow new limbs or organs, but new depths of consciousness. We would learn to see ourselves not as servants of truth, but as its artists. That is the overman's true meaning, the one who transforms life from something endured into something celebrated. He is not divine by nature, but by creation. He is what happens when courage replaces prayer. Nietzsche's words still unsettle because they demand everything. They do not comfort, they ignite. They call you to stand in the storm and find your own center, to stop waiting for destiny and become it, to live in such a way that if eternity asked you to repeat this life forever, you would answer, yes. again and again. That, my friend, is the voice of true strength. But strength in Nietzsche's philosophy is not cruelty. It is authenticity. It is the refusal to lie, to yourself, to others, to the universe. It is the courage to look into the abyss and see not death, but possibility. To realize that you are not a spectator of existence, but a participant in its creation. The world you live in now, with its confusion, its noise, its longing for truth, is the perfect soil for Nietzsche's seed. Because only in crisis does transformation occur. Only when the old gods fall can the new vision rise. And if humanity can learn from his fire, if it can turn its pain into wisdom, its freedom into responsibility, then the shadow that once terrified us will become the dawn that saves us. In the end, Nietzsche was not the destroyer of God. He was the midwife of a new spirituality, one not built on fear, but on creation. One that asks not for worship, but for courage. One that calls every human being to become the artist of their own existence. That is why, even now, when you hear his words, something inside you stirs, because he speaks not only to the mind, but to the will that sleeps within the soul. So let this be his final message, and mine to you. Do not look for meaning in distant heavens. Do not wait for light to descend. Light is born within you each time you dare to live truthfully. Do not seek permission to exist. You already have it. Existence itself has chosen you. And in the face of that gift, the only worthy answer is gratitude. Remember Nietzsche's last whisper. I want to learn more and more to see as beautiful what is necessary in things. Then I shall be one of those who make things beautiful. The world does not need new gods. It needs new creators, new souls brave enough to look at the void and paint stars upon it. That is what it means to live beyond the shadow of God. And so, as the voice of this lecture fades, the question remains. Not for Nietzsche, but for you. What will you create from your life? The light fades. The voice slows. You can almost hear the world exhale. We have traveled through the mind of a man who dared to ask what others feared to think. Through silence and storms, through reason and madness, through the death of God and the rebirth of meaning. And now, as the echoes of Nietzsche's words dissolve into quiet, one truth remains. The story was never about him. It was about us. Every age must decide again what it believes in. Every soul must rebuild its temple from the ruins of the old. Nietzsche's voice still whispers, not to destroy faith but to awaken it, to remind us that creation itself is sacred, that every moment is a chance to shape the eternal. The shadow of God still lingers, but so does the dawn. And in that light we stand, trembling, flawed, alive, ready to begin again. The question is not whether God is dead. The question is whether the human spirit can rise without him. And perhaps, if you listen closely, you will hear the answer, not in the heavens, but within yourself. This journey now comes to its quiet end, but not the search for wisdom. Each thought, each question, is another lantern in the dark. If this film has spoken to you, my friends, share its light and let it travel farther. Because truth, when shared, does not fade. It multiplies. And as always, keep your lantern burning and remember, to think is to live twice.